And with that, the car just shut off. We are dead. There's nothing. I'm here today with a 2025 Lucid Air Pure. It is the most efficient car that you could buy today. It's the rear-wheel drive entry-level version of the Lucid Air. It's actually the most affordable Air that you can buy. I'm charging it up to 100% to head out on the highway and do my 70-mile-an-hour highway range test. Now, it is the most efficient Lucid Air, but it is certainly not the longest range Lucid Air. This guy here is EPA range rated at 420 miles per charge, but that's the combined EPA range rating. The highway EPA range rating is 408 miles, but with its 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, I'm gonna have to average nearly 5 miles per kilowatt hour to achieve its 408 mile highway range rating. And I'm a little skeptical about whether or not I'm gonna be able to do that. All right, well, I'm almost at 100%. Let's hop in the Air and hit the road. All right, well, out on the New Jersey Turnpike, and I have to say I had a little bit of a bumpy start for this range test. Those of you that watch this channel know I typically start my range tests at the Brunswick, New Jersey Electrify America DC fast charger because I can get right out on the turnpike and head south. But that whole site is closed because Electrify America is upgrading all of the chargers to their new 350 kilowatt shared power chargers, which I'm super happy to hear because the site's become very unreliable for me as far as doing my charge recordings. I wasn't getting full power frequently, so I stopped using that to do charge recordings, and I've been going to other sites, particularly EVgo sites recently. But since they are ripping out all the chargers now, the whole site's unusable for a week or two. I charged at Bridgewater, New Jersey, and when I charge at Bridgewater, the good news is I get right out of the complex and I'm right on Route 287, which takes me directly to the New Jersey Turnpike. I could typically maintain 70 miles an hour the whole way. However, today I got out on 287 and like 15 minutes later there was an accident, and for like 7 or 8 minutes I was just crawling along at 5 miles an hour. Now, that's not ideal when I do the range tests, but honestly, it's not going to make that big of a difference because I only covered about 1.5 miles of ground, and whatever difference in energy, whether it was a little more because it was start and stop and I was needed to launch more, it's very efficient just driving at 70 miles an hour. The vehicle could use very little energy just to maintain that speed. Whether I use a little more or a little bit less, you know, it might make the difference of 500 feet at the end of this range test. But I just don't like interruptions like that. I love to be able to just get on the turnpike and drive most of the time at 70 miles an hour. Of course, when I have to turn around, because I drive in these large loops, I have to slow down when I get off the turnpike. Sometimes there's a traffic light. I sit there for a couple minutes. So there are, you know, moments in all the range tests where I'm not going 70 miles an hour. It's not perfectly controlled conditions, but I do what I can to control the conditions. If things get worse today, if there's, you know, a major traffic jam and it really messes up the range test, what I have to do is bail and then do it tonight because this car has to go back tomorrow. I didn't have a lot of time with this car, so it has to get done today. So I'm really hoping that traffic isn't bad the rest of the day. The morning rush hour is over. One of the problems I'm having now is with these long range cars like this, it may go 400 miles. That's like 6 hours of driving. And I have to try to time it between morning rush hour and evening rush hour. Otherwise, I definitely can't go 70 miles an hour. Traffic just seems to be getting worse and worse here in New Jersey. There's more and more cars on the road. And I never thought I'd long for the days of COVID when nobody was on the road. But that was one good benefit of COVID, that nobody was on the road. So I could just drive all I wanted to, never get interrupted from any other vehicle. But that's not the case anymore. So we'll talk about what are the things I do that I can control on these range tests. So first of all, when I get on the highway, I check the speedometer with a couple of GPS apps that I have. And this vehicle, as with the case with all Lucid vehicles, the speedometer is a little fast when you're going 70 miles an hour. Actually, when the speedometer says 70 miles an hour, it's only going 68. So I have to set the Dream Drive to 72 miles an hour to achieve a true 70 miles an hour. And as I said, I check it with my GPS apps. And whenever I talk about this in my range test videos, that I had to set the speedometer a little bit faster to maintain the real 70 miles an hour, I always get comments that people say, well, then you have to adjust the final mileage, Tom, because that the vehicle's the odometer is calibrated with the speedometer, and that's not the case. Vehicles are not calibrated speedometer with odometer. Quite frequently, the manufacturers intentionally set their speedometer a little bit fast. They can't set it slow. It can't be slow. They can get fined in some countries if the speedometer is slow, because then their customers would be speeding and not know it. So the way it works is the odometer is not calibrated with the speedometer, and the odometer is correct. I've checked that multiple times with different Lucid vehicles with my GPS, so don't worry about the final results. It's as far as it's stayed within maybe a mile. No odometer is perfect. All right, now there's a little traffic coming up here, so let's see what's going on. Oh, because there's construction, and we have a split lane, and I am now going 68 miles an hour, so I'm going a little bit slower, but it looks like this is only for a couple hundred feet. The highway split into two separate sections of 2 lanes. Yep, and it's over right up here about a quarter mile. So yeah, now I'm at 67 miles an hour. Let me see. Okay, now the highway's joining here, so we should be back up to yep, I'm accelerating 68, 69, 70, so we're good. So I set the speedometer according to my GPS apps. I also put the vehicle in the most efficient driving mode, and with Lucid vehicles, that's smooth. So it's in the smooth driving mode. I set the climate control to somewhere between 68 and 70 degrees, whatever makes me comfortable, and on the lowest fan setting, so I've done that here. And before I start the range test, I set the tire pressure to the manufacturer's recommended tire pressure, and I've done that here with the Air. Okay, so those are the things that I can control. What can I control? Temperature. Today's a cool day. It's cooler than I like to do these range tests. I love to do the range tests when they're in the 60s, 70s, 80 degrees. The warmer the battery, the farther the vehicle will go. Vehicles love driving in warm weather, or batteries love warm weather. But today it's cool. It was in the 30s overnight. It's mid-October now, but it was about 52, 53 degrees when I finished charging, and now I'm on the road now. It's at 56 degrees. It's supposed to warm up to somewhere in the low 60s. That's not perfect range weather. It's not terrible range weather, but that's going to affect the car a little bit, the fact that it's cold. Now, I did DC fast charge the car, so I tried to warm up the battery, and I also preconditioned the battery for a while before I DC fast charged it. Tried to get those cells nice and warm so they perform as well, good as they can, but I can't control the temperature. There's also another thing that concerns me a little bit, and that's the wind. It's a little bit more windy today than usual. It's about 9 miles an hour coming from the northeast, which kind of should help me in this first leg of the range test because I'm heading south. But later on, it's going to be almost a direct headwind. So I think in the second section, the second 25% from, say, 75% down to 50%, I think we're going to see a lower or a higher consumption rate. We're going to consume more energy. The miles per kilowatt hour will be lower, but let's see. As I said earlier, we'd have to average almost 5 miles per kilowatt hour, something like 4.85 miles per kilowatt hour to drive 400 miles. And I just don't see that happening. I know this is an incredibly efficient car, but I think I'm going to end up around 375-ish. That's just my guess. The other Lucid Airs that I've driven, I usually average somewhere between 4.1 and 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. This is a more efficient vehicle, so I'm thinking maybe 4.5, 4.6-ish. But I don't see 4.85. I don't think it's that much more efficient, but we'll see. We'll end where we end. But I do think that the cold weather and the wind is going to rob this vehicle of about 15 as much as 20 miles of range if it keeps up being close to 10 miles an hour. I think that could be the case, but we'll monitor the wind as we go along, and we'll see where we end up in each leg. I'll talk about the wind when I do all my check-ins, 75%, 50%, and then again when we're finishing up the range test. But as for now, it's a bright sunny day, cruising down the New Jersey Turnpike. It appears to be the bad traffic that I hit early on 287 is behind us, and now looks like smooth sailing, at least for this first leg. I'll check in when I'm at 75% state of charge. At that point, we should have gone close to 100 miles. I should have used about 21 kilowatt hour of energy, because the Lucid Air Pure now has an 84 kilowatt hour battery pack usable. The odd thing is, that's down. The 2024 Lucid Air Pure had an 88 kilowatt hour battery pack. So Lucid removed 4 kilowatt hours, the usable capacity of the Air for the 2025 model, which this is. But it has 1 more mile of EPA rated range. So I don't know if that's fuzzy math, or I don't know what Lucid did. Maybe they increased the efficiency. Lucid is always laser focused on efficiency. They make the most efficient electric vehicles. They're always trying to improve things. But the interesting thing, for the 2025 over the 2024, it's got a smaller battery pack, yet it has 1 more mile of EPA rated range. We'll see how much the Tomahawk 70 mile an hour rated range is in shoot about 5 or 6 hours, but I'm surprised that it has a smaller battery and a slightly longer range. Okay, we'll check in at 75% state of charge, and I should be at, let's make a guess, 93 miles and 20 kilowatt hour consumed. See you then. All right, checking in at the first checkpoint. I'm at 75% state of charge. We went 91.7 miles in that segment. The vehicle showed that we had used 20 kilowatt hour when we hit 75% state of charge. I was hoping it would show 21, because we're supposed to have 84 kilowatt hour of usable capacity. I want 21 in each quarter, but it wasn't. It was at 20. However, about a minute later, maybe less than a mile later, it did tick up to 21. So we were probably at like 20.6 or 20.5 kilowatt hour. So that's good. It means that I can probably bank on squeezing 84 kilowatt hour out of this in this range test, which is the total usable capacity. Now, I don't want to run out at the end, but I want to leave less than a kilowatt hour on the table. And I talked to Lucid about this, and they said I should be able to pull 84 out of it and still have a few, 100 feet of driving left. So we'll cut it close, but I want to get close to 84, if not 84, definitely 83. I'm not stopping before 83, even if it means we run out. So we're at 20 kilowatt hour use. Our consumption is 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour, which is outstanding. I've never done any 70 mile an hour range test and averaged 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour for the whole test, or even for any quarter for that matter. I don't think we're going to average that for the whole test here. We'll see, but we're averaging 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour, and that means unless we get dramatically more efficient, we're not going to hit 400 miles of range, which I didn't think we were going to from the onset. I didn't think I was going to be able to average like 5 miles per kilowatt hour. I know this is the most efficient version of the Air, but it's not that much more efficient than all of the other versions, which, this is basically, according to the EPA, this version of the Air is the most efficient vehicle you can buy today. It uses the least amount of energy to propel it. So, even 4.5 is really good, but we'll see how the range test goes. And the reason why I'm certain we're not going to do better is in that first leg, the wind was actually kind of coming across from the back of the vehicle to the front of the vehicle on an angle. So I think it helped us. We averaging 8 to 9 mile an hour winds. And now when I'm on the second leg, we're getting almost a headwind. And I'm already seeing a little less efficiency. I mean, we're only 8 miles into this second leg, but I'm already seeing that looks like we're going to do worse in this second leg, but we'll know that in another hour or so. But okay, first leg down, almost 92 miles. We used just about 21 kilowatt hours, a quarter of the battery, like I expected to. The wind's a factor here today. The temperature's a factor today. When we started, it was 52 degrees. Now it's 58 degrees. So I'm still not even into the 60s. And I have to believe that this is going to cost, between the wind and the temperature today, it's probably going to rob us of anywhere between 15 and 20 miles. If I did this range test, it's 75, 80 degrees with no wind, I'm sure I would get 4 or 5 more miles on each leg. So it's significant with the wind. So, okay, well, we'll see what happens on the next leg. I'll check back in at 50% state of charge when we're halfway home. All right, we're at the halfway point. 50% charged, and we have gone 178.7 miles. And that means in that leg, we went 87 miles. Now, it doesn't always line up with the trip gauge because I take a picture and then I reset the trip, and sometimes it's like a 1/10 of a mile or so off. So understand, when I quote the numbers, I try to correct for me being a little late resetting the trip in each quarter, and that's why it's a little off. But 178.7 miles. In that segment, we used 21 kilowatt hour, probably about the same as the first segment, probably 20 and a half, because now we're reading 41 kilowatt hour. So I think we're going to be able to squeeze close to the full capacity out of this pack. As I expected, that second leg was not as efficient as the first leg. The wind absolutely made a difference. We only averaged 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. We averaged 4.5 in the first leg, and now our overall efficiency is down to 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. So made a difference. The wind absolutely made a difference. It is warming up now. It's in the 60s now. It's 62 degrees, which still isn't great. I'd love that to be 82, but you know, it is what it is. I get the cars when I get the cars. I can't always insist on getting all the cars over the summer like I'd like to. I have to wait my turn, and this is when Lucid could provide me with this new 2025 Air Pure. You know, I pretty much stopped doing range tests around November or December. If I do them anything later than November, I mark them as cold weather range tests because the temperature makes an absolute difference. So, okay, well, listen, almost 180 miles. So we're tracking, you know, close to 360 total, which is great. It's very short of the EPA range rating, but you know, Lucid always uses the 5-cycle range rating test. You could use a 2-cycle and a 5-cycle. I found the 2 cycles seem to be a little bit more accurate. I haven't checked if they use that for this, but for all their other vehicles that I ever checked, they use the 5-cycle. Tesla uses the 5-cycle. A few other companies do. It tends to inflate the range a little bit, usually the 5-cycle vehicles that I do my 70 mile an hour highway range test with don't hit their EPA range rating. They come short. The companies that use the 2-cycle range test typically get closer to their advertised range at 70 miles an hour. The EPA really should just standardize it and tell everybody you have to use this one method and that's it. But they leave it up to the automaker, and sometimes we get different results. So, okay. How's the Air to drive? I've said this in my previous range tests. I love driving the Air on the highway. The Air is such a comfortable, quiet cabin. The chassis tuning is fantastic. Even just cruising on the highway, you could just feel the vehicle just feels so well planted, so secure, so solid. I know I'm only going 70 miles an hour and it's in a straight line. It's not like really thrashing it, but the Air gives such a great driving experience. And this Air now is well, I'm going to say very affordable. Compared to the other Airs, it is. The vehicle that I'm in now is $69,900. So it's the most affordable Lucid that you could ever buy. You know, for what you get with this, I'm tracking 360 miles of range. Great luxury vehicle. It doesn't have all the amenities of the higher trims, the Tourings, the Grand Tourings, and so forth. Sapphire. I haven't driven Sapphire yet. I'm hoping to get a hold of one of those soon. But For this price category, for in the 60s, well, it's 70,000. You get any options, you're putting it over 70. I love this vehicle. I would absolutely take one of these personally over Tesla Model S. My personal opinion. I think the driving experience is better. The cabin is more thoughtfully laid out, in my opinion. I like the driver's display. I like how Lucid has everything laid out. It's definitely more premium than a Tesla. And I mean, this is with an 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, to be able to squeeze 350, 360 miles at highway speeds out of it. Lucid knows what they're doing with efficiency. Tesla's good at efficiency also, and so is Hyundai. But Lucid really seems just micro focused on efficiency. And as I mentioned, they were able to squeeze out a little bit more EPA rated range with this vehicle with a 4 kilowatt hour smaller battery pack. So they're just constantly trying to increase the efficiency of their vehicles. Okay, we'll check back in at 25% state of charge towards the end. And I'm going to give you a tidbit of information, which I don't think I've ever revealed before. My official treat on 70 mile an hour highway range tests, especially the long ones that take 5 or 6 hours, are strawberry Twizzlers. This is what I always eat on long range tests, or even just road trips. I think I ate like a 2-pound bag of them when I did the race to Florida against Kyle Connor and Dave Connor with me and Pete Bremy. I swear, I think I brought a 2-pound bag and ate the whole thing. But for some reason, I don't eat Twizzlers a lot in my normal life, but when I'm in a car driving long distances, this is what I think helps me pass the time. So see you at 25%. Okay, well, we just passed 25% state of charge, and we are in the final stretch home. Had a good quarter, went 91.4 miles, and we're at 270.1 miles now. We used 20 more kilowatt hour in that quarter, so I'm showing 61 kilowatt hour used. So I should have close to 23 left for the last quarter. Now, that's not too surprising because Lucid does hold back some of the capacity beyond zero. So I do expect to be able to drive at least 5 or 6 miles beyond zero. So that's another kilowatt hour or so there. But like I said, I don't want to end this till I've used at least 83 kilowatt hour, hopefully 84, but we'll see. Consumption was good in that quarter also, but as I said, we had the wind to our back again. We averaged 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So same as we did in the first quarter, and that was on that same path that we drove. So that could mean this last quarter we're a little bit less efficient. However, the wind has died down a little bit now. It's no longer close to 10 miles an hour. It's only about 6 or 7 miles an hour now. So we might do a little bit better now in this final quarter. The wind's definitely hurting us. The temperature continues to rise up to 64 degrees. Still not nearly as warm as what I'd like it, but it is what it is. It's mid-October. And we have the course that I plotted out has, I'm pretty sure, a little bit more miles than what we've gone in any of the quarters so far. So I'm banking on having a little bit of reserved on the bottom, or I could run out. I just did calculations on where I have to turn around to be able to then make it to that final charging station. We're going to be stretching it for sure. And my wife's not home today. She's at work in the office. She works from home some days, but not today. So she can't come rescue me with the Lightning. I have the Lightning with Pro Power on board. I can charge another car. The charging station I'm going to is only about 20 miles from my house, so she could just shoot over if I were to run out a mile or two short. She's not home today, so if I run out, I'm stranded. I'll see if I can get a friend to come over and do that, but hopefully that's not the case. I've only run out once with all my range tests so far, and that was with the Chevy Bolt EV a couple of years ago, and I ran out like a mile and a half short, I think, of the charger. And if I run out again today, it will be like that, like a mile and a half short, but I'll know a little bit better once we get closer. And if the consumption is going up and it really looks like I'm not going to make it, there's an alternative that I can go to, but I'm really hoping that's not the case. I want to go to the same charger that I started this at, and that's the Bridgewater Electrify America charging station. We're averaging overall now 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. That's fantastic. You know, with the 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, that should get us more than 260 miles. And I'm going to need that to make it to the charger. So hopefully Lucid tells the truth about how much capacity I could use in the battery pack, because I'm banking on 84 kilowatt hour being available. If it's not, we're going to be in trouble. I will check back when we're just a couple miles out, probably right when I get off the highway and the final stretch. Hopefully I won't be white knuckled and I'll be like, yeah, we're gonna make it, no problem. But this is gonna be a tight one. Sometimes they're tighter than others. And this one, I'm still 70 miles out, and I'm 50-50 on whether I'm gonna make it. So we'll check back in when I'm close by and we'll see how well we're doing. State of Charge is powered by Qmerit. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charging equipment you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and let the EV charging installation professionals at Qmerit install it. All right, well, we're off the highway. I turned off the highway at 1% state of charge, and just as I got off the ramp, it went to 0. So I've been driving about 2 miles now with 0. I'm getting the battery critically low warning, and I'm going to a charger I've never been to before. I had to bail on my original plan. I would not have made it. I was running the numbers and running the numbers, and the closer we got, I was like, I'm gonna run like 5 miles short unless this thing has a huge low end buffer, and I don't have anybody to come rescue me, so I had to figure out where to go. I figured out an EVgo station I've never been to before. It's in the opposite direction from my house, so now I'm gonna have a long drive home. But I am only 0.5 miles from it now. I'm at 0%, battery critically low. Let me see how many kilowatt hour we have used now. Let me see, trip, it says 82, turning right here. So I said I wasn't going to end this without using at least 83. So maybe I'll go up and down this road a little bit. It's supposed to have 84. It's in reduced power mode, but it's not too squishy yet. Yeah, it's getting there. I was supposed to turn in there. I guess the chargers are in there, but I'm going to drive down this road a little bit. Oh, just went to 83 kilowatt hour. So now I'm going to turn around. Now I'm getting nervous. Where can I turn around? Because 84 is the total, but you know, I'm gonna turn in here. The car is brand new, but it could be a little less, so I don't want to run out. Let me see if I could just turn around in this parking lot. Let me let this guy go because he pulled in right behind me. All right, now I'm gonna back up and go right back out to where I was. I tell you, I had to work on this range test. This was probably the hardest range test I've ever done. Traffic was terrible. We actually slowed down a couple of times below like 68, 67 miles an hour for like a couple of miles here and there. But then I sped up after traffic cleared and went like 72, 73 miles an hour to kind of offset that. And then the traffic just stopped at one point. I think the police must have shut the highway down, but only lasted for like 2 minutes. And then like within a half a mile, everything opened up and then everything was clear. So I don't know what happened, but that really doesn't affect the range test if you stop and just sit there for a few minutes. Going slower does, but that's why I try to balance it all out. I want to know where I'm going here. But overall, I mean, we're going to end up with over 260 miles and probably less than 10 miles I drove at under 70 miles an hour. So if it gave it 2 or 3 miles, that would be a lot. And with the wind we had today, the wind cheated us probably of 10 or 15 miles. So let me see, where am I going here? This wants me to go this way. Let me see. So, you know, and as I say, there's no range test is perfect. think I'm gonna turn left here, looks like it. No range test is perked. If I took this car and did 5 range tests with it, I'd get 5 different results. Now, hopefully they'd be kind of close to each other, but the truth is there's so many outside factors with wind and traffic, temperature, all this stuff. I do these range tests just to give people a good idea of what they could expect. I see a bunch of EVs here, so I have to be near the chargers. I would think I am. There's a Cybertruck, a Ford F-150 Lightning just pulled away. It's saying it's right here though, and it's not. So if it's far from here, I am screwed. I use the EVgo app. You have arrived. You have arrived. No, I haven't. Oh no. I use the EVgo app to take me here. The only thing I can say is I am on a deck. Maybe it's below me, but the weird thing is there was a Hyundai Ioniq 5, there was a Ford F-150 Lightning that pulled out, and right here there's a Tesla Cybertruck, but it's just parked. I'm gonna go back down. Hopefully it's below where I am here, but this is not good because I am probably like within a half a mile of running out. So the EVgo app better have the right address. This is in a mall, so that's why I hate going to chargers that I'm not familiar with. Let me go back down here. Not cool, but any event, we made it. I think we made it. We're at 365.2 miles driven right now, and I've used 83 kilowatt hour. I've averaged it was 4.4 for that section too. Let me go underneath. Maybe it's under this deck. Could be, that would make sense, but how do you get in there? I don't know how to get in this deck. Not cool. Let me see if I could see them. I don't see them. I am worried. Let me pull. Oops, I just ran a stop sign. Not good. All right, let me go under where I just was, and hopefully I'll find it. If not, I'm gonna shut this off and then go back to the EVgo app and see if there's like a map or pictures where they have, usually people will take pictures, and that might give me an idea of where in the mall it is. I don't think it's under here. I don't see chargers anywhere under here. I would see the lights of the chargers. All right, I'm just gonna park here. Okay, I'm gonna cut out. I'm gonna figure this out because I'm afraid that I am gonna get screwed and stuck here. So let me cut back when I know where I'm going. See you in a minute. All right, I think I figured it out. I saw Tesla Superchargers out of the corner of my eye, so I'm driving over here, but they're not near the Superchargers, but usually they group them together. Let me see. There they are, right on the other side. Awesome. I think that's them. Yes, that's them. Great. Okay, I made it. Battery critically low. Now we are squishy. Now the throttle response is like not there. I am sure we have next to nothing left. I just turned off the air conditioning. I had it on the whole time, but I turned it off because I thought I was going to get stuck in this parking lot. And yeah, there's a couple of EVs here. This is an EVgo station. These are only 200 kilowatt. There's a Kia Niro 2 BZ4X. And then we have over here a Honda Prologue, which is pretty cool to see. You don't see too many of them. I'm going to park next to him. And what I'm going to do is just charge up just enough to get home, because I want to do a charge recording now that I have this car at such a low state of charge, but I'm not going to do it here. Not on a 200 kilowatt charger. Okay, pulled in. Let's take some pictures of the final stats. We didn't hit the EPA range rating. We didn't even hit the highway EPA range rating, but we did pretty darn good as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's see here. Battery critically low, 0% state of charge. And we are at 365.6 miles. And then over here, I'm going to take a picture of the energy usage. We have, it says 365.6, 83 total kilowatt hour, and 4.4 final average. Now, don't look at the trip A, because at 25% state of charge, I forgot to reset it. I realized it like 3 miles later. So if you notice, it's saying that we went 92.5 miles in that segment, but we went further because we were at 270.1 and now we're at 365.6. So that's actually 95.5. miles, and we drove, I don't know, 4 miles or so past 0. So, and 83 is our total kilowatt hour. So that means we were at 61. So we used 22 in that last segment. 4.4 was our average in that segment, and 4.4 is the final. So the numbers pretty much check out with 83 kilowatt hour used, 4.4 mile per kilowatt hour. That is actually the highest, the best consumption rate, the lowest consumption rate that I've ever seen on a 70 mile an hour highway range test. I think when I did the Lucid Air Dream Edition range, I averaged 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour and went 500 miles. But that had a 118 kilowatt hour battery pack. This only has an 84 kilowatt hour battery pack. So less battery, less mileage, but the consumption actually was better. So, you know, in my tests, and I also did the Lucid Grand Touring. I think I finished up with 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour or 4.1, somewhere there. This is definitely the lowest consumption rate that I've ever had on a 70 mile an hour highway range test. And it had some things battling against them. It was cold. It's 66 now, but for most of the range test, it was in the 50s. And then also we had that wind for a good portion of the time. It was like 9-10 mile an hour wind. And that's not great for range. You don't want the, you know, wind. It doesn't, even though I drive in these long loops to try to offset any elevation change or any wind, you never get back what it costs you. You know, when it's pushing you one way and going against you the other, it doesn't, you know, you don't break out even. There's always a net loss in that. So I would imagine that in perfect conditions, 80 degrees out, 2-3 mile an hour wind, the same course, I bet you I would have done 380. I bet I would have gotten about 15 miles more than what we ended up with here. So, you know, the Lucid Air Pure rear-wheel drive is a range, you know, I won't say monster or beast. It has excellent range. You know, there's a few EVs out there that will go farther. The Lucid Air and the other trims actually will. I just did the Silverado EV range test 441, but it's got a 230 kilowatt hour battery pack. Think about that. It's like 2.5 times the size of this, but the truck is 2.5 times the size of this also. So use the right tool for the job. You know, that works for some people that need a pickup truck and want to go electric. This certainly will work for a lot of people that want a sleek premium sedan that goes long distance. And you know, at $69,900, this is a really good value in my opinion. You know, you compare it to some of the other Air. Of course, it's decontented. It doesn't have as much as the other Airs do. It doesn't have a big enough battery. It doesn't charge as fast as those do. But still, if you want to get yourself an Air, you know, you can't play in that sandbox with $100,000. This for under $70,000, in my opinion, is a great deal. It's still out of the reach for the average person, but you know, it's a luxury car, and you know, the average person typically can't afford a luxury car. You know, I wish Lucid could make this for $25,000 and everyone could drive them, but that's just not how it works. There's cars for different segments, and this is a premium vehicle, but it's coming in at the lower end of the premium price-wise in the, you know, the high 60s. So, well, what I'm going to do next is put, as I always do, I'm going to put all the final figures on a sheet, type it all out, and then we'll talk about it when I do a summary back at the State of Charge Garage. So I'm going to plug in now and charge this bad boy back up, and then we'll do the summary next. And with that, the car just shut off. So let me see if it'll power back up. No. The car is dead. Let me take a picture of this. We actually drove it till it died. I hope it charges. I hope the, oh no. I don't think I can open up the charge port. That's not good. Uh-oh. All right, let me figure this out. I think once I let it sit for a little bit, maybe it'll power up enough so I can open up the charge port, but that charge port is powered and I can't open it up. And I'm pressing the brake now, the car won't light up. It is dead. I'll take a quick video of this. So we are dead. There's nothing. Say hi to the camera. There's nothing. I'm pressing the brake here to turn it on. That's how you turn the car on. It's nothing. We're at the EVgo station. Let me let it sit for a little bit. Maybe it'll power up just enough to open up the charge port. Oh no. Oh God. I don't know. Maybe I'll call Lucid. Maybe they can do something and remotely dial in and like wake it up or something like that. I will check back and let you guys know what happens before I leave here. Okay, final update. I'm charging. Just as I thought, I let the car sit for like 6 minutes and then pressed the brake and it lit up and turned on. So we're charging, and I'm already up to 8%, even though this is only a 200 kilowatt charger here. I'm charging at right now 118 kilowatts. So I only need to get up to about 15% to make it home, which I'm going to be doing. And I'll do the summary probably either tonight or tomorrow. I'll type everything up, and then we'll go over all the stats for the trip and give you my final thoughts. But Lucid Air Pure for $69.9 going, 360 plus miles. It's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned, and a great way to drive 360 miles. This is a great cruiser, super road trip car. It's one of my favorite road trip cars. I've mentioned it in my other videos that I've done. I love driving the Air. Okay, let's check out the final stats. Well, that was a very eventful range test. Probably the more things happened to me in that range test than any of the other range tests I've ever done. I mentioned that traffic was really a challenge. I was constantly changing lanes. Then I couldn't find the charger at the end. Then the car shut off. Started off by the Electrify America site that I always use to start my range test being down, so I had to start at a different location. But we got it done, and I think the Air did pretty well. So let's take a look at the final stats for the range test. Okay, so in the first segment, from 100% charged down to 75% charged, I drove 91.7 miles, and the energy screen showed that I had used 20 kilowatt hours. In that segment, we averaged 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Then going from 75% to 50%, we had our worst leg, and that's when the wind was the worst and it was kind of a headwind. I only went 87 miles. So at that point, we had driven 178.1 miles, and in that segment, we used 21 kilowatt hour. Actually, I think we used about 20 and a half, and I think the first was 20 and a half too, and that's why we were at 41 kilowatt hour when the state of charge was 50%. In that segment, as I said, we only averaged 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. That was terrible, the worst leg of the trip. And now that dropped our overall consumption to 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. From 50% down to 25%, I drove 91.4 miles, almost exactly the same as we did in the first segment. And at that point, we were at 270.1 miles. Again, we used 20 kilowatt hour for a total of 61 kilowatt hour used, from 100% down to 25% state of charge. We did 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour, and the average still remained at 4.4 overall. And the final leg, from 25% down to 0, I drove 95.5 miles. We ended up with 365.6 miles driven. We used 22 kilowatt hour in that final segment because I drove around a little bit at the end. The last few miles, I drove at under 70 miles an hour just to bleed the battery out. And we used a total of 83 kilowatt hour in this range test, probably like 83.5 or somewhere there. Remember, the total usable capacity was 84. So if I hit 84, I think the car would have been shutting off at that point, like it did when I was sitting there. And in that segment, we used 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Again, the average remained 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour over the entire range test, which wasn't nearly good enough to hit the Air Pure's EPA range rating of 420 miles, or even its EPA highway range rating of 408 miles. As I said, I would have had to average like 4.85 miles per kilowatt hour to get up to 400 miles, and that just wasn't happening, particularly on this day when it was cold and the wind was a factor. Now, there's one thing I do want to mention. I mentioned a few times throughout this video that the Air Pure rear-wheel drive with the 19-inch aero wheels that I had for this range test is the most efficient electric vehicle you can buy, and that's according to the EPA's website. Now, since this range test, actually the day after the range test, my good friend Kyle Connor did a range test with all the different types of Model 3s. And he had one of the new Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive long-range vehicles. And he averaged 4.8 miles per kilowatt hour in this range test. Now, we can't compare these range tests apples to apples because it was done in a different area with different wind, different temperatures, different elevation. So really need to put these two vehicles side by side to compare them to see which one is more efficient. At first look, it looked like the Model 3 is going to be, because that's a big difference, 4.4 and 4.8. But the Model 3 that he drove actually isn't certified yet by the EPA, so it wouldn't have appeared on the EPA's website. When I clicked most efficient vehicles, the Air Pure comes out #1. So maybe when that gets officially certified, it's going to be certified as more efficient than the Air. We don't know that yet, but I do know that Kyle averaged 4.8 miles per kilowatt hour on his 70-mile-an-hour range test with his, it's not his, he actually got it on loan, the 2025 Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive long range, so which is EPA range rated, I think, at 363 miles per charge. And I think he went over 380 miles on it, so it went farther than the Air did, and has a slightly smaller battery. So there is potential for that to be the most efficient electric vehicle available today. We won't know till we test them. I'd love to be able to get a hold of one of those and ask Lucid if they would loan me one of this vehicle again, so I could do side by side. That's the only real way to do, if you want to compare vehicles. You can't use range tests on different days, on different tracks and different times of the year. You have to do side by side to really be able to say, look, this one goes farther, this one's more efficient. Maybe we can set that up. I'm going to try. I already talked to Kyle about it. We'll see if we can get these two vehicles together and put them side by side and do a king of efficiency 70-mile-an-hour highway range test. Well, that's all I have for the Lucid Air Pure 70-mile-an-hour highway range test. It didn't quite put up the numbers that it's EPA certified for, and that's not surprising. Most vehicles that we test don't match what the EPA certification is. It's a totally different range testing. They don't just go on the highway and drive 70 miles an hour like I do. But it is interesting that some electric vehicles exceed their EPA range rating, and some of them fall far short of it. Well, that's it for here today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. If this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.